What's up? It's your boy Josh with JTM Racing. What's going on? So here's the new project. How did I get this bike? Well, I ended up trading my stand-up jet ski I had straight across for this bike, and I came out on top for the win. And the reason why is this guy was asking $500 for the bike. I was asking $600 for the jet ski with the trailer, and nobody even came close to offering me that. I think the closest I got was like $300-400, which I wasn't gonna do. It was just too low. I paid $600 for the fucking jet ski. So I asked this guy if he wanted to trade straight across. He was down because we were kind of in the same state. You know, like the jet ski and this motorcycle are pretty much in the same shape. They didn't run. They both need work. They're both older. They're actually both 83s. And he was down. Didn't even want the trailer. So now I have the trailer up for sale, which I'm probably going to get another couple $100 for. So I'm actually coming out on top, even with, you know, how much money I was getting for the jet ski and the trailer together. I'm thinking I'm making more like $700-800 compared to $600. So let's talk about the bike. What I ended up getting is a 1983 Honda GL650 Silverwing. Now, it could be an interstate. I don't think it is because I have no fairing for it, but I think the interstate had a fairing. And, you know, it just had more of that cruiser look. The normal Silverwing was a little bit more bare. You got a standard front fender, standard headlight, no fairing up front, stuff like that. Not too sure which one it is, but I think it's just a standard Silverwing. I don't think it's an interstate. So I'm building this bike into a cafe racer. I've always wanted one. Just wasn't sure when, and I guess now is the time. So do I really need to take on another project? No, but I'm going to. All my buddies have motorcycles, so I kind of want one so I can go cruising with them. Who doesn't want to cruise with their buddies? So yeah, we already did a few things. The first night I got it, all your, you know, clutch handle, brake handle, all those lines, ignition switch. Obviously, I still have to put the twist throttle back on. All that stuff was off. So we got that all set up. Rear brakes didn't work. Got those working. Took the original wiring harness off because it was all hacked up. And the guy that I got it from said he had it running, but it would die out, and he really thinks it was something electrical. How true is that? I don't know, but the harness looked like shit. So I took off the whole engine harness. I ordered one off of eBay. That's in perfect shape for $35. I already have that. So we're just going to go from there. For all I know, motor can be shot. Carbs might need to be rebuilt. Who knows what it really needs? I'm not going to know until I go piece by piece. So first thing first is I'm going to get this harness hooked up. I already did a few things like far as stripping parts off because it's going to be a cafe racer, so it needs to be more lightweight, more bare. So like I took the air box off. I took the rear pegs off. There's just little things, if it's a cafe racer, you don't really need. Like I have the side kickstand down right now. I'm going to be taking this bigger kickstand off that holds the whole bike up. Doesn't need to be there. Bunch of different things. So I did order new cafe bars for it already and red grips. I ordered aftermarket air filters for the carbs and then that harness. So, you know, it's probably going to need all new fluids, so an oil change, flush the radiator out, put coolant in it, you know, mess with the shaft driven spot, which I believe there's some type of fluid in here as well. I've never had a motorcycle, so I'm just kind of learning. I mean, I've had quads, dirt bikes, stuff like that, but never had a street bike. But yeah, so this bike should be pretty sick. I have a lot of plans for it. Obviously, I got to get like a cafe seat. Got to get the rear part of the frame. That's like a hoop that has a built-in brake light. I'm going to get fighter-style headlights for it. Got to chop the front fender that I have so it's a little shorter. Do full exhaust. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with that. Rebuild the carbs if I have to. I'm going to just spray them out really good with carb cleaner first and go from there. I need new tires, probably new brake shoes in the back, new brake pads and rotors up front. Need new front fork seals. Put air in those, put air in the rear shock. Going to paint the tank and the front fender like some type of chameleon color. Not your standard blue, purple, and green. I'm going to probably go with more like a dark purple, gold, red kind of color. It's actually pretty sick. And yeah, there's just a bunch of little stuff I'm going to have to do. But to make this easier on me, I have so many projects. I really need to just concentrate on one at a time so I can get them done. So right now I'm going to be concentrating on this motorcycle, and that's it. I want to complete it to where it's rideable. It looks somewhat decent. I'm happy with it, and I'm not going to work on anything else until I get this done. So yeah, this is it. The first thing we will be doing to it, since I've already done some work and I haven't got any video footage of it, is putting the harness I got off eBay on it and getting that all wired up. It shouldn't be too hard, but at the same time, it was kind of wired half-assed to begin with. So we'll route it all nicely, you know, zip tie everything, make it look really clean. I already have the harness and the air filters. The only thing I'm waiting on are the handlebars and the grips, which I ordered first. It's bullshit. I kind of wanted those so I could put everything on permanent, you know, my handles, my twist throttle, my off and on switch, my light switch, all that stuff. I'm going to throw my gauges on here for now. They just bolt up right here, so I can plug that into the harness, plug in that ignition as well. After the harness gets in, we could probably put the battery cage in, or the battery box, put a battery in there, and at least see if the starter turns, and we should be able to hear how the motor sounds. Guy told me it had compression in both cylinders. Like I said, I'm just going off of his word. Don't know how true that is. Pretty much have to do all the maintenance on it, so spark plugs as well, and change the brake fluid, just kind of everything, go over the whole bike, and we'll go from there. So let's do it. Alright guys, so 2 bins of parts also came with the bike. I ended up splitting the bins up for parts I'm not going to use and parts I can use. One bin with the parts I'm not going to use is like extra seat pieces, extra plastics, tail light, headlight, because I'm going all aftermarket on that stuff. The other bin is like, I got doubles of the harness and a bunch of other electrical things, the twist throttle, the off and on switch for the bike, the headlight switch, just a bunch of miscellaneous things. And in that good bin I had some gauges. So I put those on, got them all bolted on to the forks. So I have those. Hopefully they work. I'm not too sure. We're going to find out when I get it all wired up. But those are on. I'm going to start wiring the bike up with that new harness I got. And I'm also going to put on the air filters I got. So I'm going to take the seat off. It's only held in by a couple bolts right now. I'm going to take the tank off. That's just sitting there free. We're going to go from there. Let me show you the air filters I got for the carbs. I think I spent 10 to 15 bucks and it came with both of them. But it's just these little dope ass red and black foam air filters. I dig them. So it is dual carbed. If you can see, got one here, you got one right there behind it. Now before I put those on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the flaps, which I think they're already open, and I'm going to spray the shit out of them with carb cleaner. I'm not going to take them off because you got your throttle cables on them and they almost have to be dialed in together. I don't want to mess with it yet until I know if it's not going to run or they need to be rebuilt, or you know, have to adjust them to be the same. I don't want to mess with them too much yet. I will if I have to, but we're going to just spray them out with carb cleaner, throw these filters on, and then we're going to start plugging in this harness and just see where we can get with it. And you know, yeah, we'll pretty much see how far we can get with it in this clip or this next clip, and just go from there. Alright, so I took the seat off, took the tank off real quick, and I got the air filters on the carbs. That's how they look. They actually look pretty sick. Can't really see them from the sides, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But if I really wanted to, what I might do is get like some rubber couplings and extend that. So put like a rubber coupling on each side, run some metal tubing or aluminum tubing, and then run the filters back here. Not that it's necessary, it's really not, but they do look pretty sick at this angle. So at least the carbs have air filters now. And yeah, let me grab this wiring harness real quick actually. Let's just go grab it. Show you what we're working with. So here's a bunch of the old wiring, you know, some of the miscellaneous parts. And then here's my new fresh ass wiring harness. So we're gonna grab this bad boy, which it's in really good shape, or I would be retaping it, but I'm not going to. I should probably move the bin of plastics I have inside so this doesn't fill up with water. But here's all the parts I'm not going to use. I might use the exhaust pieces, like the actual mufflers and stuff. Not too sure yet, because I want to go full custom, but temporarily I might. But yeah, so here is the $35 harness off of eBay. All the connectors are good, so it's pretty legit. So we're gonna start hooking this up and seeing where we can kind of get with it. Obviously I know what plugs are gonna go for the gauges, the ignition, but yeah, we'll just go from there. Alright guys, so I am getting some of the wiring harness plugged in. It's not too bad. Just taking one plug at a time, one wire at a time. Willie did print me out a 175-page repair manual on the bike and a few other models. Definitely coming in clutch with them wiring diagrams, you know, so I know what color of wires I'm looking for, what plug goes to what plug, just where everything goes, you know. So there is some wiring I don't think belongs on the bike. This stuff right here, it's just bundled up and zip tied in. I'm going to cut that out. It's not hooked up to anything, so I guess if I do need it I can put it back in, but it's literally just sitting there, not plugged into anything. So maybe someone ran some extra wiring for something like an alarm or something. I don't know. I have no clue. But we're going to take that out because I don't think it belongs there, and then we're going to continue. So far I have the gauges wired up. There's one wire for the RPM gauge that hasn't been wired up yet. I'm not too sure where it goes. I have the ignition wired up and a few other little plugs, just going one by one. Alright, so I got a few more plugs plugged in. Got these two plugged in by the frame rail right here, and then I zip tied the harness to the frame as well. Found out where this plug was, which when I took the original harness out, I kind of like pulled all the wires away from the frame just in case they had to be rewrapped or something like that, which this one did. The electrical tape on this was all shredded, and I was curious why. Well, someone tried to fix a ripped wire or it got melted, something happened, and they kind of did a half-ass repair. So I unwrapped it, cleaned it up, hooked up the wire correctly so it has good connection, rewrapped it all with electrical tape. Now I can run this back through the frame however it goes, or however I think it should go, and then we'll plug it in on this bad boy right here. So we're moving along here. Alright, so I got a couple more things plugged in, nothing too crazy. One of those things is the coolant temp sensor. The other thing, I'm not too sure what it is, but the wire color matches. It's right next to the coolant temp sensor, so it only made sense. So yeah, I plugged it in. I'm pretty sure I can figure out what it is later on. But I still have a lot more of the harness to plug in. There's a bunch of miscellaneous items in a bin in the garage that plug into the harness. Like for instance, the twist throttle with the off and on switch plugs into a red plug up front. Some of the stuff back here, like a fuse panel, the CDI box, that's what I at least believe it is. Just a bunch of little other things. Of course, you know, you got plugs for your tail lights, plugs for your headlights, which I'm going fully aftermarket with that stuff. Relays and I don't know, capacitor. Just, I'm not too sure what all these things are, but like I believe one is like a starter relay that's part of a panel, and then there's like a whole panel that has a couple relays on it or a couple fuse blocks. Like there's just a bunch of miscellaneous different things. I'm not too sure exactly what they are, but when I look at them and then I look at the plugs on the harness, it looks like they match. So I think a lot of this stuff that the harness is going to plug into is actually in the garage. I had to cut the zip ties where I had the harness mounted to the bike. The reason why is I had it zip tied tight, and it came to a couple plugs where the harness wouldn't reach just because I had it zip tied. So I think I'm going to zip tie the harness last after I have everything routed and I know where everything plugs in, and then I can, you know, kind of adjust where the harness sits on the bike, zip tie it down so it looks all proper and stuff. But we're going to be done for today, and then the next clip will be tomorrow, and we'll continue. All right, so it's the next morning. I already pulled the tank and the seat back off, and I was looking at all the miscellaneous parts I had in the good bin, and this is what I came across. So you got like your twist throttle, your fuse block, which I believe I have an extra fuse for, your headlight switch and your turn signal switch, stuff like that. I think this is for your horns as well. This is the extra piece of the new harness I got. I don't think this is a CDI box. I think this is considered like a rectifier. I could be wrong. Here's this little panel I had, and here is, I don't know, a starter solenoid maybe. Here's the battery cage, which we're going to be putting that back on. I'm really not going to clean up a lot of this stuff until I get everything put on the bike and I know where it's supposed to be. And then once I get it all wired up and it looks correct, then I'll take, maybe one piece off at a time, clean it up, like sand this down, repaint it black, little things like that. I have miscellaneous brackets and the horns and stuff in this bag. I got some of the hardware that came off the bike in this bag. So yeah, we're just gonna go from there. I think the first thing I will do is put the cage on, and yeah, we'll go from there. All right, so we're moving along quite well. I got a lot more hooked up. So far, I got the Swiss throttle plugged in, which would be this red plug right here. Come to find out, the start button's missing. I didn't realize that. But these two females right here are going to plug into the 2 males on your brake handle. What else did I get done? Put your battery box in, or your battery cage. The rectifier bolted in on the bottom. Still have to plug all that up. Got this little panel in here. Just still trying to figure out some things. Zip tied in a couple spots just to hold it. What else did I plug in? Plugged in the fuse panel, which is this big red plug. Plugged in a few other little things. I'm not too sure if they go where they're supposed to go, but just trying to match up wire color. But yeah, we're moving along. I plugged in that other section that I had that came with the harness, which is this right here, which I think this goes to the tail light. I could be wrong. But right now what I'm trying to do is figure out where this needs to be mounted permanently, so I can, route my harness and, see how it's going to work. But yeah, definitely moving along. Kind of a pain. All the cleaning up will be at the end, because right now I'm just trying to figure out where plugs are going and where wires are going, and we're moving along, but it's taking some time. So just got to keep looking at them wire diagrams and go from there. Alright, so I think this is where I'm going to stop for the day. There's a couple things I believe I'm missing that go on the starter relay panel. There's something that belongs in this little pocket right here, something that's square. I'm not too sure what it is. Still have to wire up the rectifier, these yellow wires. I believe they go to this plug right here, where these other yellow wires are. But yeah, we're getting there, one thing at a time. I did fix this wire over here going to this sensor, because when I first got the bike and I was removing the harness, I broke it. So I put a nice new hoop on it, cleaned it up, bolted it back down, so that's done. It's getting there, one thing at a time. Obviously all the wiring on the bars will be zip tied when I get the new cafe style bars. I believe a little box is supposed to go on the front of the forks right here, so all this wiring looks a lot cleaner. It's all tucked up in the forks, so it's not hanging there. I might have to fab something up or get a box for that. It needs to look a lot cleaner than that, because the fighter headlights will be going, the fighter style headlights will be going on the forks right here. So everything will look clean when it's done. Need to get a new fuse for this fuse block. I just put this one in here temporarily. This one is broke or burnt out. But yeah, we're getting one thing done at a time. It's coming together. There's still a lot more wiring to do. I kind of tucked up all the rear wiring over the frame right here so it's not hanging on the back tire, so it's kind of out of the way. But yeah, literally one thing at a time, it'll come together. I think there's going to be a lot of wiring left for like the blinkers, your headlight, your tail light, but I'm going all aftermarket on that stuff, so we'll have to see. I don't know if I'm going with blinkers up front yet. I want to, but I don't. So some of this stuff might just be capped off. In the rear, I'll definitely have blinkers so people know when I'm switching lanes. So that'll take care of that wiring back here. But yeah, so really I need to pick up a battery so I can put it in that box. And like I said, once it's all wired up and I clean it all up, I get it all zip tied down, it'll look a lot better. It's just doing one thing at a time. Still need to unbolt this kickstand right here. Don't need it here. It's ugly. Don't want it. I might actually do that right now. But this is where I'm leaving off today. I want to wash this slab real quick because it drips a little bit. So I kind of want to degrease some of these oil spots. And then I'll probably put like a piece of cardboard under the bike. But for now, I'm happy. We're moving forward. Have to get the handlebars and the grips in. I'll probably put this air filter back on real quick. But this manual is definitely coming in handy, or come in handy, with just doing the wiring, for the wiring diagrams and just looking at where stuff is supposed to be positioned. I looked at pictures. That's how I found out this panel needed to be mounted right here. Yeah, it's getting there. I'm actually really excited. So after everything gets wired up and tucked, that's when I'll really be like detailing stuff. You know, probably take the box back out or the battery cage, sand that down, repaint it black. Just little things, you know, maybe rewrapping some of the wiring, like here, how we got these splits. Probably clean that all up, either new wiring shrink or shrink tubing, you know, some new wiring, electrical tape, stuff like that. Just, you know, it'll come together. It's going to be sick. So that's where I'm leaving off though. So I washed the slab off. All nice and clean. Just wanted to show you real quick. I took that bigger kickstand off. Looks a lot cleaner. Nice little empty spot. A little bit more lightweight. That thing was actually kind of heavy. I bet you it's like 5-10 pounds actually. But yeah, looks a lot better. A little bit more of a cafe racer. I think I might rock out the stock mufflers just for now until I get the rest of my exhaust system done the way I want it, because it's going to be all custom tubing. There's going to be some bends and some welding to do, but I might just put on the stockies and like gut them out just so the sounds coming off the back, they don't look too bad. They could probably be polished up. And but yeah, that's where we're at. I think that's going to be the end of this video for now. So everybody, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Please like, comment. Always hit people back up. And if you have any I don't know, experience on building these bikes or just cafe racers in general, hit me up. Let me know what I could do, or you know, what I'm missing, or you know, just let me know, because like I said, this is my first street bike, and I'm just kind of doing one thing at a time. I don't know everything about this bike, but might as well learn. Peace.